Get off my land. You don't belong here. That was the first thing she screamed before calling the cops on me before I'd even finished unpacking the first box. Imagine buying a quiet old cabin miles outside the city, only to have someone from a different neighborhood treat you like a criminal on your own property. That was my welcome to Meadowbrook. I'm Ethan Walker, 32. A GIS specialist for the state. Basically, I deal with digital maps and property boundaries for a living. I know every square inch of where one piece of land ends and another begins. So, when I bought that old 1950s oak cabin out in the woods, I did my homework. Checked every file, every coordinate, even walked the property line myself. No HOA, no restrictions, no problem, or so I thought. The first few days were peaceful birds coffee the creak of the porch. I'd left the city noise behind and finally felt free. Then one morning I saw her marching up my driveway like a lawyer heading into court. Perfect blonde bob, navy blue suit posture, stiff enough to hold up a roof. "Good morning," she said in that voice that sounds polite but feels like a warning. "I'm Deborah Pierce, president of the Meadowbrook HOA. I just need to verify you have authorization to reside here." I blinked. "Authorization? This isn't your HOA. My cabin's outside the boundary." She tilted her head, eyes narrowing. "We'll see about that." That sentence, I didn't know it yet, was the start of the war. The next week, things started getting weird. I'd step outside to get the mail and find her parked by the property line photographing my house with a zoom lens. When I confronted her, she said she was conducting an environmental impact assessment for a private property she didn't own. Then, one morning, a huge HOA maintenance truck blocked my driveway. The driver shrugged, said they were doing tree work. There wasn't a single branch out of place. A few days later, I got a letter from the city, a formal complaint accusing me of damaging protected forest land and dumping wastewater into the preserve. I sat there reading it, my hands shaking. I hadn't touched a thing. The accusations were fake, but the letterhead was real. Someone had filed it under my name. I spent the whole night gathering evidence, septic inspection reports, zoning approvals, every official document I could find. I responded professionally, thinking reason and proof would fix this, and for a moment it seemed to. The agency cleared me. Things went quiet. But quiet, I learned, is just the sound before the next hit. A week later, an email appeared in my inbox about a Meadowbrook district expansion. I almost deleted it. But when I saw the words boundary adjustment proposal, I froze. Deborah's name was on the agenda. I went to the county meeting myself. The chamber was half empty, echoing under the fluorescent lights. Deborah stood at the podium like she owned the place, her slideshow glowing behind her. "We need to expand the HOA's oversight," she said. Voice smooth as silk, "for the sake of environmental protection." It sounded noble until I saw her map. Her new boundary line cut straight through my property. When I stood up to speak, she interrupted me twice, painting me as some reckless newcomer who didn't understand community stewardship. The council nodded along like sheep. The vote passed to advance the review. I walked out of that building furious and a little scared. She wasn't just harassing me anymore. She was trying to change the law to take my land. 2 days later, a man from a company called Green Future Solutions called offering a sustainable energy partnership on my property. I hadn't contacted anyone. When I asked how they got my number, he slipped and said they'd been working with community leadership. Deborah's fingerprints were all over it. That night, I started digging. Using my state login, I accessed the GIS database and cross-referenced the county maps with the official survey records. My pulse slowed as I scrolled. Coordinates had been shifted just slightly, but enough to move entire boundaries. Whoever did it knew the system. This wasn't an error, it was fraud. Then I checked the metadata. The altered files came from a consulting firm called Ecotech Analytics. The name sounded legit, but their website was fake. Their staff photos were stock images, and their office was a mailbox in a strip mall. The owner, none other than Deborah Pierce, listed under a shell company. That was when it all clicked. The environmental letters, the fake inspections, the land expansion proposal. She wasn't protecting the forest, she was manipulating the data to extend her HOA's control and sell the land to development companies. Every green project she promoted was just a cash grab, hiding behind words like sustainability and stewardship. Still, even with the proof in hand, I felt cornered. Deborah fought back harder. She distributed flyers around the neighborhood calling me a dangerous trespasser. She filed complaints with my employer claiming I was using government resources for personal gain. I even got calls from utility companies asking if I was operating illegal equipment. It was like she was dismantling my life piece by piece. Neighbors started avoiding me. Even the old couple who used to wave every morning crossed the street when they saw me coming. For the first time, I sat on my porch and thought maybe she'd won. Maybe peace just isn't meant for me. But then I looked at that pile of evidence maps, screenshots, documents, timestamps. And something inside me hardened. I wasn't just some random target. I was a professional, and I had the truth on my side. I decided to fight back. I contacted a retired county engineer named Marcus Chen, whose name I found in the old GIS email logs. When I met him, his first words were, "You finally found it." He told me everything: the bribed officials, the fake contracts, the years of falsified data. He still had the original boundary files before they were altered. That was the missing piece. I spent the next week building what I called the map of truth. One layer showed the real county lines, the other Deborah's fake ones. The shift looked small, but anyone could see what it meant: stolen land, falsified records, corporate fraud. Then I sent it all to the FBI's Environmental Crimes Unit, the State Attorney General, and the EPA. I didn't expect a reply. But 3 weeks later, I got a call. Special Agent Sarah Martinez. Calm voice, precise words. "We've reviewed your evidence, Mr. Walker. We'd like your help in an upcoming meeting." That meeting turned out to be the trap. Deborah was invited to present her latest proposal at the county building, the same room where she'd humiliated me before. This time, though, the audience wasn't just bureaucrats. It was federal agents, state prosecutors, and investigators posing as council members. She walked in smiling, confident, clicking her heels across the tile like a queen arriving for coronation. Her PowerPoint began slides charts that same flawless tone about environmental integrity. She had no idea she was narrating her own indictment. When she finished, Agent Martinez thanked her, then turned to me. "Mr. Walker, would you like to show your findings?" I stood, connected my laptop, and displayed both maps side by side, the real data and the falsified one. "This," I said, pointing to the glowing screen, "is the actual county line. And this," I drew a laser pointer across her version, "is the line Deborah Pierce manufactured. Every shift represents land she tried to seize under false environmental pretenses." The room went dead silent. You could feel the air thicken. Even the least technical person could see the fraud. I clicked again, showing the money trail between Ecotech Analytics Green Future Solutions and accounts tied directly to Deborah's name. Then the internal emails where they discussed boundary adjustments as opportunities for controlled growth. When I finished, Martinez stood. "Mrs. Pierce," she said evenly, "we're with the FBI's Environmental Crimes Unit. You are under investigation for federal fraud, corruption of public officials, and racketeering." Deborah's smile vanished. Her hands trembled. "You can't," she started, but her voice cracked as two agents stepped forward. The cuffs clicked. For once, the Queen of Meadowbrook had no words. I stood there watching her pass by the same woman who'd tried to erase my life with paperwork now being escorted out under fluorescent lights. On the projector behind her, her own fake charts still glowed. The symmetry of it almost made me laugh. Justice didn't come with sirens or applause. It came with proof, cold, undeniable mathematical proof. Later, I learned the fallout was massive. Ecotech Analytics was exposed as a front for multiple fraudulent developments. County officials resigned. Deborah pled guilty after a year of dragging her case through appeals, 12 years in federal prison, $850,000 in restitution, banned for life from land management. I didn't attend her sentencing. I didn't need to. The cabin she tried to take from me still stands where it always has, quiet and steady among the trees. The same sunlight filters through the oaks, the same wind hums through the boards. Sometimes when I hear the creak of the porch, I think about that first day her standing there in that navy blue suit, telling me I didn't belong. Funny thing though, the line she tried to move never did, because truth, unlike property lines, can't be redrawn.